In the heart of rural Jamaica, where kerosene lamps pierce the darkness and dusty roads stretch endlessly, one girl carried dreams bigger than her circumstances. Every morning before sunrise, she walked 2 hours to school, barefoot, determined. While her classmates gave up for the fields, she stayed late, studying by candlelight with borrowed books. A national scholarship became her ticket out. But leaving everything behind? That was just the beginning. Surrounded by wealth and privilege in America's tech capital, she felt invisible. But she never forgot the little girl who studied without light, or the mother still bending over rows of cane. Today, she's not just a successful lawyer in Silicon Valley's elite circles. She's a bridge between two worlds. Funding scholarships, mentoring the forgotten, proving that your starting point doesn't determine your destination. This is the story of Alana, a journey that spans oceans and comes full circle. Some dreams are worth crossing the world for, others are worth coming home to fulfill. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're from and if this story speaks to you. Make sure you're subscribed because we have many more deeply inspiring stories to share with you. In the pre-dawn darkness of rural Jamaica, where sugarcane fields stretch endlessly toward the horizon, a 13-year-old girl begins her daily journey. Her bare feet know every stone, every dip in the path that leads to the community well. This is Alana James, and her story begins not with privilege or opportunity, but with water buckets worn smooth by her grandmother's hands. At 4:30 each morning, while most of the world sleeps, Alana carries water for her family. By 7, she will begin a 2-hour walk to school. By evening, she'll study by candlelight in a house so small that privacy is an impossible luxury. This routine would break many children. For Alana, it becomes the foundation of an extraordinary transformation. Alana's parents, Marcus and Carmen James, work land they don't own, farming sugarcane for others while dreaming their daughter might have different choices. Her father's persistent cough speaks of years breathing dust and chemicals. Her mother's calloused hands tell stories of endless labor. Yet both parents make a decision that will change everything. They will sacrifice whatever necessary to keep their eldest daughter in school. The government school sits 2 hours away by foot. Each day, Alana transforms her walking time into study time, reciting multiplication tables to curious goats, practicing English vocabulary with the morning birds. Her teachers notice something remarkable. This barefoot girl from the cane fields retains information with unusual clarity. Mrs. Patricia Patterson, Alana's teacher, recognizes exceptional potential in her rural classroom. When a government scholarship program announces a full ride to an American university, the first of its kind, Patterson knows exactly who should apply. The scholarship examination would test not just knowledge, but the ability to think creatively under pressure. While her competitors arrived from prestigious private schools with every educational advantage, Alana brought something different: the problem-solving skills developed from a lifetime of finding solutions with limited resources. The test results arrive 6 weeks later in a manila envelope that will determine whether a girl from the cane fields can compete on the world's biggest stage. The letter begins, "It is our great pleasure to inform you that you have been selected as the recipient of this year's Caribbean Educational Excellence Scholarship." But winning the scholarship is only the beginning. Boston in August 2005 presents challenges no examination could prepare her for. Northeastern University's campus buzzes with students who take abundance for granted dining halls with more food options than Alana has seen in her lifetime, dormitories larger than her entire neighborhood. Her roommate, Ashley, casually mentions her father's law firm and mother's design business while unpacking belongings that could stock a small store. The social and economic gulf between their worlds becomes immediately apparent. Yet Ashley's genuine friendliness bridges some of that distance, teaching Alana that privilege doesn't automatically create barriers to authentic connection. Academic success comes naturally to Alana. Her professors are impressed by her preparation and work ethic, but especially by her ability to bring fresh perspectives to class discussions. When studying economic development, she speaks from personal experience about how lack of capital affects small farmers. When analyzing legal cases, she understands viscerally how laws affect people with no resources to hire attorneys. Alana had something many of my students envied: she understood how the law affects people who need it most. I suggested she accelerate her studies, complete her undergraduate degree in 3 years. Not because she was in a hurry to leave, but because she was eager to begin the work that would allow her to make the kind of difference she had dreamed about. 3 years later, Alana graduates summa cum laude and ente, RS Harvard Law School. But her path to success comes with unexpected complications. Corporate law offers financial rewards that can transform her family's circumstances, yet distances her from the community-centered values that originally motivated her studies. After law school, Alana joins Hartwell, Morrison & Associates, one of Silicon Valley's most prestigious firms. She excels at complex corporate transactions, helping structure deals worth billions of dollars. Her specialty becomes intellectual property law, navigating the intricate patent portfolios that make technology companies valuable. The work is intellectually challenging and exceptionally well compensated. Alana earns more in a year than her parents earned in decades. She can afford an apartment in San Francisco's Mission District, expensive wine, and designer clothes that make her indistinguishable from her privileged colleagues. Yet something crucial is missing. During a major acquisition closing, Alana overhears executives casually discussing workforce redundancies, 200 people who will lose their jobs despite assurances to the contrary. The executives are not being cruel. They are simply applying corporate logic that treats human costs as line items on financial statements. That same evening, a text message from her mother changes everything. Maya graduated valedictorian today. She wants to study medicine, but family worried about cost. Maya is 17, the same age Alana was when she won her scholarship. But there will be no scholarship for Maya, no clear path from their farming community to the profession she dreams of pursuing. The irony is sharp and painful. Alana now earns enough to easily fund Maya's education, but doing so requires continuing corporate work that feels increasingly disconnected from her deeper values and goals. She faces a choice that will define not just her career, but the kind of person she will become. The conversation with senior partner Robert Hartwell surprises her. Instead of rejecting her proposal for educational work in the Caribbean, Hartwell reveals that the firm's partners have been discussing ways to expand their community impact. What if we structured this as a formal initiative, he suggests. Hartwell, Morrison & Associates could sponsor a Caribbean education foundation with you as its director. Alana brought something unique to our firm, not just legal skills, but a perspective shaped by understanding both struggle and success. Her proposal to create educational opportunities in the Caribbean aligned perfectly with our desire to have meaningful social impact while maintaining our business excellence. The Caribbean Education Foundation becomes reality. 5 years after leaving corporate practice, Alana returns to Jamaica, not as a student, but as someone with the power to transform opportunities for an entire generation. The foundation will establish regional centers providing intensive academic preparation for students seeking university scholarships. But the program goes beyond simple test preparation. It includes mentorship, family support services, and post-graduation career guidance. Most importantly, students commit to contributing their skills to Caribbean development not as brain drain, but as brain circulation between the region and the wider world. Maya, now a medical student whose education Alana funded through her corporate earnings, makes a choice that exemplifies the program's philosophy. Despite acceptance at prestigious residency programs in New York, London, and Toronto, she chooses to specialize in tropical medicine while remaining in the Caribbean to serve children throughout the region. The foundation's first center opens with 25 students from farming communities, fishing villages, and urban neighborhoods. They share intellectual curiosity, academic potential, and limited access to advanced educational opportunities. On opening day, Alana watches these students enter their classrooms with TTS. The same mixture of excitement and nervousness she felt entering her first American university building. 10 years later, the Caribbean Education Foundation operates 12 centers across 8 nations. Over 2,000 students have graduated, and the program serves as a model for similar initiatives in other regions. The girl who once walked barefoot to school through cane fields now addresses the United Nations General Assembly about education and economic development. In the audience sits 17-year-old Keisha Thompson, a foundation graduate who has been accepted to study marine biology at the University of Miami. Like Alana before her, Keisha plans to return to the Caribbean not as escape from her circumstances, but as preparation for leadership within them. Today, Alana maintains the same ritual she began as a teenage student, weekly letters to her parents. In her most recent letter, she writes, "Every success I've achieved traces back to those early morning walks to the well, to the 4-hour journeys to school, to the candlelight studies that you made possible through your sacrifices. You gave me roots strong enough to survive transplanting and wings strong enough to carry not just myself, but others who are ready to fly." The foundation graduated another class last month, 48 students heading to universities in 15 countries. But more importantly, each has committed to spending at least 2 years after graduation working on Caribbean development projects. The brain drain is becoming brain circulation, with talented young people moving freely between their region and the wider world while maintaining their commitment to home. Alana's journey from cane fields to corporate boardrooms to the United Nations has been unpredictable, challenging, and ultimately more rewarding than anything she could have imagined as a barefoot teenager studying by candlelight. But the most satisfying part is knowing that the journey continues. Next month, she travels to Ghana to help establish similar programs in West Africa. Next year, she hopes to expand into Central America and the Pacific Islands. The work continues, propelled by the same principle that guided her since childhood. Individual success means nothing if it does not create opportunities for others to succeed as well. Standing where her journey began, surrounded by the cane fields that gave her roots, Alana represents a truth that transcends geography and circumstance, that determination combined with opportunity can overcome any obstacle, and that the highest expression of individual success is found in service to something larger than oneself. The cane fields gave her roots. Education gave her wings. Now she uses both to ensure that the children who come after her will have even more possibilities than she dared to dream. The journey that began before dawn at a well in rural Jamaica continues, carrying new voices, new dreams, and new possibilities toward horizons that stretch as far as the human imagination can reach. But Alana's story reveals deeper complexities about success, sacrifice, and the weight of representation. Behind the inspiring narrative lies a more nuanced truth about what it means to carry the hopes of an entire community. During her years in corporate law, Alana experienced what researchers call survivor guilt, the complex emotions that arise when individual success highlights the ongoing struggles of those left behind. Her expensive apartment in San Francisco became a symbol of achievement, but also of distance from the world that shaped her. The weekly letters home became more than family communication. They were lifelines to her authentic self. In one letter from her corporate years, she wrote, "I fear I'm becoming someone my 13-year-old self wouldn't recognize. The water buckets feel like they belong to a different person." Her transition from corporate law to foundation work wasn't just a career change, it was a reconciliation of fractured identity. The Caribbean Education Foundation became a bridge between the world she came from and the world she had conquered. Yet even her philanthropic success raises complex questions about sustainable development. Critics argue that programs like hers, while well-intentioned, can create dependency on external funding and Western educational models rather than strengthening indigenous knowledge systems. Alana grapples with these critiques honestly. The Foundation's curriculum balances international academic standards with Caribbean history, culture, and environmental studies. Students learn calculus and chemistry, but also study climate change impacts on small island states and traditional ecological knowledge systems. The Foundation's most innovative program pairs students with local knowledge keepers, elderly community members who share traditional skills in agriculture, fishing, and craftsmanship. The goal is to create bridges between ancestral wisdom and contemporary challenges. The results are measurable but complex. Foundation graduates show higher university completion rates than their peers, and 85% return to contribute to regional development. But they also report feeling caught between worlds, too changed for their home communities, yet never fully accepted in elite international circles. Maya's choice to remain in the Caribbean represents one model of success, staying to serve locally, but Alana's global advocacy represents another equally valid path. The Foundation now tracks multiple ways graduates contribute: those who return physically, those who send remittances and expertise from abroad, and those who advocate internationally for Caribbean development. The economic impact extends beyond individual success stories. Foundation graduates have established 11 new businesses in the Caribbean, created 340 direct jobs, and generated over $12 million in regional economic activity. But perhaps more importantly, they've shifted conversations about what's possible for young people from traditional communities. Alana's influence now extends far beyond the Caribbean. The foundation model has been adapted for use in Ghana, Bangladesh, and rural communities in Mexico. Each iteration respects local cultural contexts while maintaining core principles of academic excellence and community commitment. The foundation's longitudinal research reveals unexpected outcomes. Children in communities served by the program show increased school enrollment even when they're not direct participants. Parents report changed attitudes about education's value. Local teachers receive professional development that benefits entire school systems. But the most profound changes may be psychological. In communities where children historically saw limited futures, the foundation has expanded the horizon of possibilities. 8-year-olds now talk about becoming marine biologists, aerospace engineers, and international lawyers with the same matter-of-fact confidence their older siblings once reserved for discussing farming and fishing. This expansion of imagination may be Alana's greatest achievement. Not the individual scholarships or university acceptances, but the fundamental shift in how entire communities understand possibility. Yet Alana remains grounded in the daily realities that shaped her. She still visits the well where she carried water as a child, still maintains her simple tastes despite her international prominence, still writes those weekly letters to her parents in her own handwriting. Her parents, now in their 70s, have become celebrities of sorts in their community. Visitors come to hear them speak about raising a daughter who addressed the United Nations. But Marcus and Carmen James remain focused on the values they instilled: hard work, humility, and responsibility to others. The foundation now faces its own version of the sustainability challenge. As Alana's international profile grows, there's sure to expand rapidly. To scale the program beyond what might be manageable while maintaining quality, the organization has deliberately chosen slower, more careful growth. Recent studies by education researchers at Oxford and Yale confirm what Alana intuited from her own experience. Sustainable educational development requires deep community embedding, not just academic preparation. The Foundation's 10-year success rates exceed those of larger, more heavily funded programs precisely because it maintains intimate connections to the communities it serves. Today, as Alana prepares for another international speaking engagement, she carries with her a small stone from the path she walked to school as a child. It's a reminder of distance traveled, but also of the ground that continues to anchor her values and vision. The girl who once studied by candlelight now influences global education policy. The teenager who walked barefoot through cane fields now advocates for children's rights at the highest levels of international governance. The young woman who felt invisible in American universities now ensures that other children from traditional communities will be seen, heard, and valued. Success isn't a destination, it's a responsibility. Every opportunity I received came with an obligation to create opportunities for others. Every door that opened for me was only valuable if I could use it to open doors for the children who come after me. That's not charity, that's justice. Her story continues to unfold across multiple continents, in countless classrooms, and in the dreams of children who now see possibility where previous generations saw only limitation. The water buckets have been replaced by laptop computers, but the essential rhythm remains the same: daily discipline in service of transformational goals. From a single well in rural Jamaica, ripples of change now reach across oceans. From one girl's determination to learn, thousands of children now access education, opportunities that seemed impossible a generation ago. From individual success, collective transformation continues to grow. The cane fields still stretch toward the horizon, but they no longer represent the boundaries of what's possible. They are the foundation from which unlimited possibilities continue to emerge, carried forward by young voices that refuse to accept limitation as destiny. Her story continues to unfold across multiple continents, in countless classrooms, and in the dreams of children who now see possibility where previous generations saw only limitation. The water buckets have been replaced by laptop computers, but the essential rhythm remains the same: daily discipline in service of transformational goals. But perhaps the most complex chapter of Alana's story is still being written: the challenge of institutionalizing personal transformation. How do you scale inspiration? How do you systematize hope? How do you ensure that an organization built on one person's extraordinary journey can survive and thrive beyond its founder? The foundation now employs over 200 people across 12 countries. What began as Alana's personal mission has become a complex international organization with budgets, boards, and bureaucracies. Managing this transformation while maintaining the intimate, family-like culture that made the program effective presents unprecedented challenges. Recent internal surveys reveal growing tensions within the organization. Long-term staff members express concerns that rapid international expansion is diluting the foundation's Caribbean identity. Newer employees, many from international development backgrounds, argue for more standardized, scalable approaches to programming. Alana acknowledges these challenges with characteristic honesty. In recent board presentations, she's spoken openly about the need to distribute leadership while preserving organizational values. The foundation has begun implementing a collaborative leadership model, with regional directors from each country taking increasing responsibility for local operations. The transition is already producing unexpected benefits. Regional directors bring deep understanding of local educational systems, cultural practices, and community needs. Programs in Ghana emphasize agricultural innovation alongside academic preparation. In Bangladesh, the curriculum integrates traditional textile arts with modern business skills. In Mexico, students study both engineering and indigenous ecological knowledge. Yet this success raises new questions about intellectual property and cultural appropriation. Who owns the foundation's educational methods? What happens when approaches developed in the Caribbean are adapted for use in other contexts? How do you honor the source of innovations while allowing them to evolve? The foundation has responded by implementing what they call knowledge-sharing agreements, formal protocols ensuring that communities receive recognition and ongoing benefits when their educational innovations are adapted elsewhere. 20% of international program revenues now return directly to originating communities for local development projects. These ethical frameworks reflect Alana's evolution as a global leader. The young woman who once felt out of place in American universities now navigates complex international negotiations with confidence, but also with deep sensitivity to power dynamics and cultural differences. Her approach to leadership has been studied by business schools and development organizations worldwide. Rather than imposing solutions from above, she creates frameworks for communities to develop their own educational strategies. Rather than standardizing curricula, she standardizes processes for community-led curriculum development. But global recognition brings its own pressures. Alana now receives speaking requests from dozens of organizations monthly. Publishers compete to secure rights to her autobiography. Documentary filmmakers and journalists seek access to her story. Managing these demands while maintaining focus on foundational work requires careful boundaries. She has chosen to limit media appearances to those that directly serve the foundation's mission. Her upcoming autobiography will donate all proceeds to scholarship funds. Speaking engagements are selected based on their potential to generate sustainable funding or policy changes, not personal recognition. The personal costs of this commitment are significant. Alana's romantic relationships have struggled under the demands of constant travel and international responsibilities. Close friends describe her as lonely despite her public success, deeply connected to her mission but sometimes isolated from personal intimacy. Alana carries so much responsibility for so many people. She feels accountable not just for the foundation's current students, but for every child whose future might depend on the organization's continued success. That kind of pressure takes a toll on personal relationships. It's hard to be close to someone whose heart belongs to thousands of people, yet she finds sustenance in unexpected places. Her weekly letters to her parents have evolved into a broader correspondence with foundation graduates, community elders, and children in program communities. These relationships, maintained across distances and time zones, provide the emotional grounding that enables her public work. The letters reveal a more private side of her journey. In one recent correspondence with a former student now studying medicine in London, she writes, "Success without relationship is meaningless." Influence without love is empty. Everything valuable I've accomplished traces back to connections to family, of care that enables any of us to flourish. These philosophical reflections inform the Foundation's newest initiative, a global network connecting education programs across cultures, continents, and contexts. Rather than expanding the Caribbean Education Foundation internationally, Alana is creating platforms for local organizations to share strategies, resources, and inspiration. The Global Education Commons operates on principles of mutual exchange rather than top-down assistance. Programs in rural Kenya share drought-resistant farming techniques with Caribbean communities. Urban education initiatives in Brazil exchange strategies with island programs managing climate change impacts. Early results suggest that this network approach may be more sustainable than traditional development models. Local organizations retain ownership of their methods while benefiting from global knowledge sharing. Innovation emerges from grassroots adaptation rather than external imposition. This model reflects Alana's deepest insights about development, that sustainable change requires local ownership, that innovation emerges from cultural intersection, and that the most powerful transformations happen when people feel empowered rather than assisted. As the Foundation approaches its 15th anniversary, Alana faces questions about legacy and succession that would challenge any leader. How do you pass on not just organizational structures, but wisdom gained through lived experience? How do you ensure continuity while enabling evolution? Her succession planning includes something unprecedented in international development, a council of Foundation graduates who will eventually assume governance responsibilities. These are not traditional board members selected for wealth or connections, but program alumni who embody the Foundation's values through their own service to their communities. The Graduate Council is already implementing innovations Alana might not have considered. They're developing peer mentorship programs connecting current students with recent graduates, creating entrepreneurship incubators in rural communities, and establishing cultural exchange programs that celebrate Caribbean diaspora contributions to global development. These innovations suggest that the Foundation's most important achievement may not be the individual students it has helped, but the leadership capacity it has cultivated. Young people who might have remained invisible in traditional educational systems now shape international development policy, lead major research institutions, and create solutions to challenges their communities face. From a single well in rural Jamaica, ripples of change now reach across oceans. From one girl's determination to learn, thousands of children now access educational opportunities that seemed impossible a generation ago. From individual success, collective transformation continues to grow. The cane fields still stretch toward the horizon, but they no longer represent the boundaries of what's possible. They are the foundation from which unlimited possibilities continue to emerge, carried forward by young voices that refuse to accept limitation as destiny. Alana's story reminds us that transformation is not a destination but a process, not an individual achievement, but a collective responsibility. The girl who carried water buckets became a woman who carries hopes, dreams, and the power to multiply possibilities for others. But perhaps most importantly, she created systems that will outlast her own involvement, ensuring that her personal journey becomes a pathway for countless others to travel toward their own versions of success, service, and contribution to the common good.